The rain fell softly over London as people gathered outside the Grand Royal Albert Hall. Everyone waited to see the royal couple who had not been seen together in public for 3 months. News reporters stood ready with their cameras. People on the streets held up their phones, hoping to catch a glimpse of Kate and William. For weeks, the papers had been full of stories about the royal couple. Some said they were having problems in their marriage. Others claimed Kate was sick and hiding away. A few even said they were planning to step back from royal duties like Harry and Meghan had done years ago. The palace had said nothing about these stories, which only made people talk more. "They are here," someone shouted as a black car with tinted windows pulled up to the red carpet. The crowd pushed forward, trying to see better. Security guards formed a line, keeping people back. The car door opened slowly, and Prince William stepped out first. He wore a black suit with a bright emerald green tie. He stood tall and straight, looking calm despite all the cameras flashing. He reached back into the car and offered his hand. The crowd went silent for a moment. Then Princess Kate emerged, wearing a beautiful long emerald green dress that matched William's tie exactly. Her hair was pulled back simply, and she wore the sapphire ring that once belonged to Princess Diana. The cameras clicked wildly as people noticed that the couple had dressed in matching colors for the first time in years. William placed his hand gently on Kate's back as they stood together. They looked at each other and smiled warmly. It was a small moment, but everyone saw it. This simple touch said more than any official statement could. The couple had not spoken a word, but they had already begun to answer the rumors. "They look so happy," said an old woman in the crowd. "The papers must have been wrong." Kate and William walked slowly down the red carpet, stopping to speak with the charity workers who had organized the event. The Royal Foundation annual gala was raising money for children's mental health programs, a cause both Kate and William cared deeply about. As they talked with the charity workers, they stood close together. When Kate laughed at something someone said, William looked at her with clear affection. Inside the hall, more cameras waited. The royal couple moved through the crowd, speaking with guests and thanking donors. They worked the room like they always did, moving apart to speak with different people. But royal watchers who had followed them for years noticed something different. Every few minutes, their eyes would meet across the room. They would share a quick smile before returning to their conversations. The dinner began, and Kate and William sat at the main table with the charity leaders. When the first speaker talked about the struggles children faced with mental health, William reached under the table and took Kate's hand. She looked surprised for a moment, then squeezed his hand back. A photographer caught this moment, though the couple didn't notice. By the time the main course was served, people at the event were already sending messages to friends. "Something is happening with William and Kate," these messages said. "They are sending a message without saying anything." Outside the hall, reporters who had been following the royal gossip for months were already changing their stories. "Royal couple puts rumors to rest with United Front," one reporter said into her camera. Another typed quickly on his phone. Kate and William's silent statement speaks volumes. And still, the royal couple had not said a single word about the rumors. They didn't need to. Their actions that evening had already started to change the story. And the night was just beginning. The charity dinner continued as guests enjoyed their meals. Kate sat with perfect posture, smiling and nodding as the woman next to her spoke. William was deep in conversation with an older man across the table. They seemed to be doing what they always did at these events. But people who watched them closely could see something was different tonight. Kate kept glancing at William when she thought no one was looking. William did the same. Their eyes would meet briefly, and they would share small smiles before turning back to their conversations. These little moments did not go unnoticed by the guests sitting nearby. Lady Margaret, who had known the royal family for years, watched with interest. She had read all the rumors in the papers. Now she was seeing something quite different from what the stories had claimed. The couple seemed happy, comfortable with each other. There was no sign of the tension the papers had reported. After the main course was cleared away, There was a break before dessert. The guests were free to mingle again. William stood and walked around the table. People expected him to move to another group, as royals often did at these events. Instead, he walked directly to Kate. He leaned down and whispered something in her ear. Kate laughed genuinely, her eyes lighting up. She placed her hand lightly on his arm as she responded. Their heads were close together as they shared this private moment in the middle of the crowded room. Nearby guests pretended not to notice, but everyone saw. One of the charity workers, Emma, was taking photos for the foundation's social media. She captured this moment without the couple realizing it. Later, this photo would be seen by millions of people online. It showed the royal couple looking relaxed and happy together, completely different from how they had been portrayed in recent news stories. As the evening continued, the head of the charity stood to give a speech. He talked about the important work they were doing to help children with mental health issues. This was a cause very close to both Kate and William. They had worked for years to remove the shame around talking about mental health. During the most emotional part of the speech, when the speaker told the story of a young boy who had been helped by their program, Kate reached for William's hand. Their fingers intertwined naturally on the table where everyone could see. William gave her hand a gentle squeeze. This small gesture said more than any words could about their support for each other and the cause they both cared about. At a nearby table, a journalist who had written some of the rumors about the couple looked uncomfortable. What she was seeing tonight did not match the story she had been telling for weeks. She quietly put away her notebook. Later, she would have to write a very different kind of article. As dessert was served, Kate and William continued to sit together. They talked quietly, their heads bent close. Sometimes they would laugh. Other times they would look serious as they discussed something important. They seemed to have forgotten the hundreds of eyes watching their every move. A photographer who had been hired to cover the event moved around the room, taking pictures. He captured several shots of the royal couple deep in conversation. In one perfect image, William was looking at Kate with such clear love in his eyes that it would later silence even the harshest critics. By the end of the dinner, the message was clear to everyone in the room. Whatever problems the papers had been reporting, the royal couple was presenting a united front. They had not made any announcements. They had not released any statements. They had simply shown up together and acted like a couple who cared deeply for each other. As the event began to wind down, social media was already buzzing with the first photos from inside. The royal couple's silent statement was starting to be heard around the world, and they still had not said a single word about the rumors. The morning after the charity gala, people all over the world woke up to see photos of Kate and William on their phones and in their newspapers. The images were everywhere. William whispering in Kate's ear, Kate laughing at something he said. Their hands joined together during the emotional speech. Each picture told the same story. The royal couple was still very much a team. In a small office at Buckingham Palace, the royal press team gathered for an early meeting. They spread the morning papers across a large table. Every front page showed the same images. Silent statement. Read one headline. Actions speak louder than words, said another. The press secretary smiled. The plan had worked perfectly. Look at this one, said a young staff member, holding up her phone. She showed them a social media post that was going viral. It was the photo Emma had taken, showing Kate and William in their private moment. It already had more than 1 million likes. People were sharing it with comments like relationship goals and true love. Across London, in the offices of the Daily Post, things were not so happy. This was the newspaper that had published the most stories about problems in the royal marriage. The editor called an emergency meeting. "We need a new angle," he told his team. "The pictures from last night do not match what we have been reporting. We need to explain this change." A young reporter raised her hand. "Maybe there is no change," she said. "Maybe our stories were wrong." The editor looked at her sharply. "Find out what is really going on," he said. "Talk to your sources. Get me the truth." Meanwhile, in a quiet country house far from London, Kate and William sat having breakfast. Their children were at school. For once, they had the morning to themselves. The palace had sent them the press coverage to review. William looked through the headlines while Kate read some of the social media comments on her tablet. "It seems to have worked," William said, putting down the newspaper. "Just like we thought it would." Kate nodded. "People believe what they see," she said. "We did not have to say anything. We just had to show them." What the public did not know was that the royal couple had planned everything carefully. The matching green outfits, the hand on the back, the whispered words that made Kate laugh. Even the moment when Kate reached for William's hand during the speech, nothing had been left to chance. For months, they had stayed mostly apart in public. This was not because they were having problems. It was because Kate had been working on a special project about early childhood education. She had been meeting with experts, visiting schools, and preparing a major report. This work had taken much of her time and energy. William had been supporting her by taking on more royal duties and spending extra time with their children. Their time apart had been misunderstood by the press as a sign of trouble. In reality, they had been working as a team, dividing their responsibilities to achieve their goals. "Should we make an official statement now?" Kate asked, putting down her tablet. William shook his head. "Not yet," he said. "Let this sink in first. Let people see the truth through our actions. Words are too easy to twist." Kate smiled. She agreed with this approach. They had learned from past mistakes. They had seen how official statements could be picked apart and misinterpreted. Actions were clearer. Actions were harder to deny. Their press secretary called with an update. The photos from the gala were the top story on every news channel. The rumors about their marriage were already being questioned. Some reporters who had spread the stories were now apologizing. "What's next on the schedule?" William asked. "You have that school visit next week," the press secretary said. "It would be a good opportunity to continue the message." Kate and William exchanged a look. They had not planned to attend that event together, but now they sought a chance to reinforce what they had started at the gala. Without saying a word, they both nodded. "Tell them we will both be there," William said. The silent statement would continue. The world was watching and listening closely, even though no words had been spoken. The week after the charity gala passed quickly. The royal couple stayed out of the public eye, but their photos continued to appear everywhere. News shows invited royal experts to analyze every detail. What did the matching green outfits mean? Why had they chosen this particular event to make their statement? What would happen next? Behind the palace walls, life went on as normal. Kate focused on finishing her childhood education report. William attended meetings about his environmental projects. They helped their children with homework and had family dinners. The outside world might be in a frenzy about them, but inside their home, things were calm. On Thursday morning, Kate stood in front of her closet, trying to decide what to wear to the school visit. This would be their second public appearance since the charity gala. She knew all eyes would be watching them again. "What about this blue dress?" she asked, holding it up as William walked into the room. He smiled. "Perfect," he said. "I have a blue tie that would match." They had decided to continue with subtle matching outfits, another small sign of their unity. The school they were visiting was in a poor area of London. It had recently started a new program to help children with learning difficulties. Both Kate and William cared deeply about education. This visit had been on William's schedule for months, but now Kate would join him. When they arrived at the school, hundreds of people lined the streets. Many held signs saying, "We support you," and "We love the royal couple." It seemed the public had firmly taken their side against the rumors. The headmaster greeted them at the school gate. "We are so honored to have both of you here today," he said, clearly surprised that Kate had come too. The original announcement had only mentioned William. Inside the school, they visited classrooms and talked with teachers. They sat with the children, helping them with their reading. In one class, a small girl gave Kate a drawing she had made. "It's you and Prince William," the girl said shyly. "My mom says you are like a fairy tale." Kate smiled warmly. "That's very kind," she said. "But real life is not always like a fairy tale. It takes work and caring and sometimes being brave." William, who was sitting nearby, heard this. He reached over and placed his hand on Kate's shoulder for a moment. A teacher captured this moment on her phone. Later, she would share it online, and it would be seen as another piece of their silent message. In the school library, they attended a presentation about the new learning program. They sat side by side, listening carefully as the teachers explained their work. When it was time for questions, William spoke first. "This program seems to be making a real difference," he said. "How can we help expand it to other schools?" Kate followed with her own question about how parents were being involved. They worked as a team, building on each other's ideas. The teachers noticed how they seemed to think alike, finishing each other's thoughts. After the presentation, they unveiled a plaque to mark their visit. William stepped back, letting Kate take the lead in pulling the cord to reveal the plaque. This small gesture did not go unnoticed. In the past, protocol would have had William take the lead as the higher-ranking royal. By stepping back, he was showing his respect for Kate's work in education. As they prepared to leave, the children lined up to say goodbye. One bold boy raised his hand with a question. "Is it true what the papers said about you two not getting along?" he asked innocently. The teachers looked horrified, but William and Kate did not seem upset. They looked at each other, sharing a small smile. "Do we look like we're not getting along?" William asked gently. The boy shook his head. "No," he said. "You look like my mom and dad when they're having a good day." Everyone laughed, and the moment passed. But once again, without directly addressing the rumors, the royal couple had found a way to respond. In the car driving back to the palace, Kate and William reviewed how the visit had gone. "The boy's question was unexpected," Kate said. William nodded. "But his answer was perfect," he said. "Out of the mouths of babes, as they say." Their silent statement was continuing to work. Without saying a word about the rumors, they were slowly changing the story. And there was still more to come. 2 weeks after the school visit, Kate finished her report on early childhood education. She had been working on this project for months, meeting with experts, visiting schools, and studying research. The report was nearly 100 pages long. It contained recommendations that could change how children were taught across the country. "I think it's ready," Kate said, showing the final draft to William. They sat together in their private study at the palace. William took the report and read through the main points. "This is excellent work," he said when he finished. "When do you want to release it?" Kate thought for a moment. "I was planning to hold a press conference next week," she said. "But I've been thinking, maybe we should release it together." William looked surprised. "This is your project," he said. "You should get the credit for it." Kate shook her head. "The work is mine, yes, but releasing it together sends a message. It shows we support each other's work. It continues what we started at the charity gala." William nodded slowly. He understood what she was saying. Their plan to address the rumors through actions rather than words was working well. This would be another powerful statement. The next day, the palace announced that William and Kate would jointly present a major report on early childhood education. The press release did not mention the rumors directly. It simply stated that the Prince and Princess of Wales would appear together for this important announcement. Royal watchers immediately saw the significance. "This is another clear message from the royal couple," one expert said on a morning news show. "They are showing a united front in all areas of their lives, including their work." On the day of the press conference, reporters filled the room at the palace. Many had written stories about problems in the royal marriage. Now they were seeing something very different. Kate and William walked in together, once again dressed in complementary colors. This time, Kate wore a dark blue suit, and William wore a tie in the exact same shade. Kate spoke first, explaining the findings of her report. She was confident and knowledgeable, clearly passionate about the subject. William stood beside her, watching her with obvious pride. When she finished presenting the main points, William stepped forward. "I would like to say how proud I am of the work my wife has done on this important issue," he said. Early childhood education has always been a passion for Kate, and this report shows her deep understanding of the subject. A reporter raised her hand with a question. "Will you be working together on implementing these recommendations?" she asked. William glanced at Kate, and she nodded. "Yes," he said. "While this has been Kate's project, we both believe in the importance of this work. We will be visiting schools together to see how these ideas can be put into practice." Another reporter tried to ask about the rumors directly. "There have been stories about tension between you," he began. The palace press secretary stepped in quickly. "Questions should focus on the report," she said firmly. But Kate raised her hand. "It's all right," she said. She looked directly at the reporter. "We prefer to let our actions speak for us," she said simply. "I think they say everything that needs to be said." The room went quiet. This was the closest either of them had come to addressing the rumors directly. Without confirming or denying anything, Kate had made their position clear. They were not going to engage with gossip. After the press conference, Kate and William walked out together. In the hallway, away from the cameras, William took her hand. "That was perfectly handled," he said. "You're amazing." Kate smiled. "We're a good team," she said. What they didn't know was that a junior staff member had seen this private moment and would later describe it to a friend who worked at a newspaper. The story of their quiet words and held hands would appear in the weekend edition. One more piece of evidence against the rumors. That evening, as they had dinner with their children, William's phone buzzed with a message. He checked it and then showed it to Kate. It was from his brother Harry, who lived in America. Saw the press conference. The message read, "Well played." Kate and William exchanged a look. Even Harry, who was often critical of how the royal family handled the press, approved of their approach. Their silent statement was being heard loud and clear by family members and by the public. Without fighting the rumors directly, they were changing the story. A month after the charity gala that had started it all, the change in public opinion was clear. The newspapers that had once printed stories about problems in the royal marriage now showed photos of Kate and William looking happy together. Social media was full of positive comments about the couple. The rumors had not been directly denied, but they had been effectively answered. At a meeting with the royal press team, the head secretary showed William and Kate how the coverage had changed. "These are the headlines from 2 months ago," she said, displaying a board covered with negative stories. Then she showed a second board with recent headlines. "And these are from the past week." The difference was striking. "Royal couples united front silences critics," read one headline. "Kate and William show how it's done," said another. There were stories about their work, their charity projects, and their family life. None mentioned the rumors anymore. "Your strategy has been very effective," the press secretary said. "By showing rather than telling, you've changed the narrative completely." William nodded. "Sometimes the best response is no response," he said. "At least not in words." Kate looked thoughtful. "But we should not be complacent," she said. "We need to keep showing the truth." The next item on their calendar was a garden party at the palace. Hundreds of people would be invited, including many who had done important work for charities. These events were a royal tradition, a way to thank people for their service to the community. On the day of the garden party, the weather was perfect. The palace gardens looked beautiful, with flowers blooming everywhere. Kate wore a light pink dress with a matching hat. William wore a morning suit with a pink tie that matched Kate's dress exactly. Once again, their coordinated outfits sent a message of unity. As they walked out onto the palace grounds, they stayed close together. William had his hand on Kate's back as they moved through the crowd. They stopped often to speak with guests, showing genuine interest in their stories. Mrs. Johnson, who had worked for 40 years helping homeless youth, was overwhelmed when the royal couple spent several minutes talking with her. "They were so kind," she told her friends later. The way they looked at each other when I was telling my story, you could see the respect between them. A photographer captured the moment when William got Kate a cup of tea. It was a simple act, but it showed his thoughtfulness. Another photo showed Kate laughing at something William said, her hand resting lightly on his arm. These small gestures, seen by hundreds of guests, continued to tell their story. Halfway through the event, light rain began to fall. Guests opened umbrellas or moved under the trees for shelter. William immediately took off his jacket and held it over Kate to keep her dry as they walked toward the palace. This moment, caught on camera by several guests, would become one of the most shared images from the day. Inside the palace, as they waited for the rain to pass, William and Kate continued to mingle with the guests who had come inside. They worked the room separately for a while, covering more ground. But guests noticed how they would catch each other's eye across the room, sharing small smiles or raised eyebrows at something amusing. Lady Hopkins, who had known the royal family for decades, watched them with approval. "They remind me of the Queen and Prince Philip," she told a friend. "That same quiet understanding between them. That same partnership." When the rain stopped, everyone moved back outside. The sun came out, making the wet garden sparkle. Kate and William walked down to the edge of the lake, where a group of children from a local school choir were preparing to sing. As the children sang a sweet, simple song about friendship, William put his arm around Kate's waist. She leaned against him slightly. It was a natural moment between a couple who were comfortable with each other. Many guests took photos of this scene, adding to the growing collection of images that told their story. Near the end of the party, a guest dropped her handbag into the lake. Without hesitation, William knelt down at the edge of the water and retrieved it for her. Kate handed him her handkerchief to dry his hands. This small moment of teamwork did not go unnoticed. As the last guests were leaving, Kate and William stood at the gate, thanking people for coming. They looked tired but happy. It had been a long day, but a successful one. Their silent statement had been reinforced once again. Walking back through the garden toward the palace, William took Kate's hand. "I think that went well," he said. And that was the key to their success. Their actions hadn't seemed forced or fake. They had simply shown their genuine feelings for each other. The truth had been the most powerful statement of all. As summer approached, Kate and William prepared for their annual trip to Scotland. They always spent some time at Balmoral Castle, the royal family's Scottish estate. This year, their visit would happen just as Kate's early childhood education report was being implemented in schools across the country. The night before they left London, Kate found William in their private sitting room, looking at old family photos. He had a picture of his mother, Princess Diana, holding him as a small boy. "She would have been proud of how we've handled this," William said when Kate sat beside him. "She struggled so much with the press and the rumors. She tried to fight them directly and got pulled into a war she couldn't win." Kate nodded. "We learned from her experience," she said gently, "and from the mistakes we've seen others make." They had decided to travel to Scotland by train, a journey of several hours. This was unusual for them. Normally, they would fly to save time. But the train journey would allow them to be seen together in a more relaxed setting. It was another carefully planned part of their silent statement. The next morning, they arrived at the train station with minimal security. They had chosen to travel first class rather than in a private car, so they would be visible to other passengers. Kate wore casual clothes, jeans, and a simple blue sweater. William matched her casual look with his own jeans and a similar shade of blue sweater. Fellow passengers were surprised to see the royal couple boarding the train. Some took photos on their phones. The couple smiled politely but did not make a big show of their presence. They found their seats and settled in like any other travelers. During the journey, they were spotted reading books, sharing snacks, and talking quietly. One passenger later told a newspaper they were just like any normal couple taking a trip. They seemed very comfortable together. At one point, she fell asleep with her head on his shoulder. This story, along with a blurry photo taken by the passenger, appeared in several newspapers the next day. Royals choose normal train journey, read one headline. Kate and William. Just like us, said another. The image of the royal couple doing something so ordinary was powerful. When they arrived in Scotland, there was no formal welcome. They were met by a single car that took them to Balmoral Castle. The staff there had been told to expect them, but no special preparations had been made. The couple wanted a quiet, normal time away from the public eye. At Balmoral, life was simple. They went for long walks in the hills. They took their children fishing in the river. They had barbecues in the garden. For a few days, they were able to live almost like a normal family. But even here, they were continuing their silent statement. A local shopkeeper in the nearby village was surprised when William and Kate came into his store together to buy ice cream. They seemed very happy, he told his friends at the pub that night. The prince had his arm around her as they walked in. They were laughing about something. Word spread quickly in the small community. Soon, a few photographers appeared, hoping to catch the royal couple during their private time. William and Kate did not hide away. They continued their normal activities, allowing themselves to be seen going to church on Sunday, having lunch at a local restaurant, and walking their dog in the park. Each of these small sightings added to their story. Each normal, happy moment was another piece of evidence against the rumors that had once dominated the headlines. One afternoon, they took their children to a local fair. They tried to blend in with the other families, but of course, they were recognized. William won a stuffed bear at one of the game booths and gave it to Kate with a flourish that made her laugh. A tourist caught this sweet moment on camera, and the photo went viral online. Just a normal husband being sweet to his wife, read one comment. They look so happy together, said another. The story of the royal couple's problems was being completely rewritten, one normal moment at a time. On their last evening in Scotland, William and Kate sat on the porch of a small cottage on the Balmoral estate. Their children were asleep inside. The sun was setting over the hills, painting the sky with beautiful colors. "This has been good," Kate said, "being away from it all." William nodded. "But even here, we're sending our message," he said. "Every time someone sees us together, every time they witness a normal moment between us, it fights against the lies." Kate took his hand. "The truth is the best weapon," she said. As darkness fell, they went inside to check on their children. A staff member, seeing them walking hand in hand, smiled to herself. The silent statement continued, even when they thought no one was watching. Returning to London after their time in Scotland, Kate and William found that their silent statement had grown even stronger in their absence. The newspapers that had once printed negative stories now regularly featured positive coverage of the royal couple. The original rumors were rarely mentioned anymore, except as examples of false reporting. "We've turned the tide," said the royal press secretary during a meeting with the couple. "The public narrative has completely changed." William nodded, pleased with this news. "And we never had to say a word about the rumors directly," he said. "We just showed the truth." Kate looked at the press clippings spread out on the table. "But we need to be careful," she said. "We can't become complacent." The press can turn quickly. They decided their next step would be a television interview about Kate's childhood education project. This would not normally be unusual. Royal family members often gave interviews about their charity work, but this would be the first time they had appeared on television together since the rumors began. The interview was scheduled with a respected journalist known for her thoughtful questions. It would be filmed at Kensington Palace in a setting that looked casual and relaxed. The focus would be on the education project, but everyone knew there would be interest in seeing the couple interact on camera. On the day of the interview, Kate wore a simple dark blue dress. William wore a light blue shirt with no tie. Once again, their coordinated colors sent a subtle message of unity. The camera crew set up in a sitting room that had been arranged to look homey and comfortable. As the interview began, the journalist asked about the education project. Kate spoke passionately about the work. William added comments about how he had seen the impact of the project firsthand during their school visits. They seemed relaxed and knowledgeable, finishing each other's sentences at times. Then came the question everyone had been waiting for. "There have been many rumors about your relationship in recent months," the journalist said. "How have you dealt with that while working on this important project?" There was a brief pause. Kate and William exchanged a glance. This was the most direct question they had faced about the rumors. For a moment, the room was completely silent. Then William smiled slightly. "We've always believed that actions speak louder than words," he said. "We preferred to show rather than tell." Kate nodded. "Some things are too important to become part of a public debate," she added. "Our family, our relationship, these are private matters. Our work, our public duties, those are what we want to focus on." The journalist tried one more time. "But the rumors were quite specific," she said, "about problems between you, about possible separation." Kate's expression remained calm. "Look at us," she said simply. "What do you see?" The journalist looked at them, sitting side by side on the sofa. William had his arms stretched out behind Kate. They were turned slightly toward each other. They looked comfortable, at ease with each other. "I see a couple who seem very much together," the journalist admitted. "There's your answer," Kate said with a small smile. With that simple exchange, they had finally addressed the rumors directly, but still on their own terms. They had not denied specific claims or gotten into details. They had simply pointed to the evidence of their actions over the past months. After the interview aired, the response was immediate. Social media filled with positive comments about the royal couple. News shows played the clip of Kate saying, "Look at us," over and over. It became a powerful moment, the perfect conclusion to their silent statement. The editor of the Daily Post, which had published many of the original rumors, called an emergency meeting with his staff. "We need to issue a formal apology," he told them. "Our reporting was clearly wrong." The next day, the newspaper printed a front-page apology to the royal couple. Other publications that had spread the rumors followed suit. Some blamed anonymous sources who had misled them. Others admitted they had published speculation as fact. At the palace, Kate and William read these apologies with satisfaction. Their plan had worked even better than they had hoped. Without fighting the rumors directly, they had changed the story completely. "It was worth the wait," William said, putting down the newspaper. "Letting our actions speak for us was the right approach." Kate nodded. "Truth always wins in the end," she said. "We just had to be patient and consistent." They had turned what could have been a damaging scandal into a triumph. The public now saw them as a strong couple who faced challenges together. Their bond seemed stronger than ever. The silent statement had been heard loud and clear by everyone. 6 months after the charity gala that had started it all, Kate and William attended the annual Christmas concert at Westminster Abbey. This event had become a tradition, organized by Kate each year to thank those who had done important work for the community. The Abbey looked beautiful, decorated with lights and Christmas trees. Kate wore a deep red dress, and William matched with a red tie. The color of love and celebration seemed fitting for this final chapter of their silent statement. As they walked into the Abbey together, the crowd outside cheered loudly. People had been waiting for hours in the cold to see them. Many held signs with supportive